208 subscribers and counting. Now, I know for a lot of content creators, especially like bigger ones, this is probably not like a milestone even worth celebrating. This is like, I don't know, celebrating winning a nickel or something like that. But it's really important to me because I didn't think I was going to be able to make it this far. I never thought that I was ever going to see 200, let alone triple digits on my YouTube channel. And it's been an incredibly validating experience about just overall like my content creation and my style in general. It's been really heartwarming to see. It's been very motivating to see. I had a lot of doubt on the FGC philosophy series even working in the first place. So the fact that, you know, transitioning from doing Marvel gameplay videos and into doing this almost video essay-esque style where I talk over the video and like, you know, to like state my opinions and stuff. It was scary. It was really uncertain because I had such a roll going, right? I had never reached anything above like a couple hundred views for a video. So when I broke through with almost, I think the first Marvel video I have, 4.3k views for my first ever Marvel video. I wanted to keep that traction going, and for a good while I did. It was really, really fun. It was exciting, but I started to slowly not feel creatively challenged enough with these videos for me to really continue. So I really, like, I've always wanted to like start this passion project of talking about topics about fighting games, but outside of them, like the mental state of fighting games, and how important attitude and perception of yourself plays a really, really big part in like fighting games in general. So, you know, I'm actually really, really happy that this is working out, and I intend to continue. But with that being said, something that I've been wanting to do, and I might continue this after every video, is that I made this whole entire thing to make discussions about these topics. I say it at the end of every video to, you know, to get people to engage with each other and engage with me on the topics that I talk about. It's been really cool to see a lot of you that are actually doing that. You would be surprised how much of a leap and bound it is to actually get someone to leave a comment on a video, and I'm actually really happy a lot of you have. That's something that I wanted to do. I was thinking of starting a thing where after every FGC philosophy video, I read the comments and have a discussion with you guys about the previous video. You know, let it, you know, simmer for a couple of days and then talk. But for now, to celebrate the 200 subscriber milestone, we are actually going to be reading off every single comment from beginning to end. All the way from the tier list video I made 3 months ago to now with the competing video. So to get things started, just as also another little primer, there was actually a lot of, due to the okay, let me restart. Due to the nature of a lot of these videos and the discussions, you guys comment a lot, and I cannot stress this enough. Please continue doing that. Big paragraphs, getting all of your ideas out there, typing as much as you want. It's super important. I actually really like it, but also it's caused me to have to kind of pick the highlights of the comments, some of my favorites that I found. And ones that really spark up like a discussion, something like that's really talking about. I'm not saying that not all of your comments are worth talking about. These are just some of my favorites and some of the most interesting that I find to actually have like a really legitimate discussion about. So for starting off, we're going to be starting off with a comment from Evil Killer Fungus on the tier list video. My main gripe with tier lists is that it's often trying to evaluate a character in a vacuum, when the game is not a vacuum. A character might be very solid against the majority of the cast, but have a few bad matchups that make it tough to get through a tournament. A character with a lot of unique tools, or that requires a lot of matchup knowledge, might be stronger in shorter sets. And of course, players will want to look at pro tier lists when they are not playing at the same high level. In older fighting games with worse balance, it was important to know if a character had irredeemable flaws that kept it from being competitive. Now, tier lists are just a rough snapshot of a character's effectiveness from patch to patch. I think this comment hit the nail directly on the head, because again, that video was mainly about like not only about how tier lists overall are perceived, but how they were perceived over time. And this person 100% without a doubt encapsulated everything that I was saying about the video, and some. I 100% agree. For older fighting games, especially since I'm like an arcade fighting game player, that's like my primary source of like engaging in fighting games. 100%. It is required almost to to look at a tier list for older fighting games. I guess not necessarily, because, you know, in any fighting game or anything, you could just hop in and pick a character and play. But if you want to know, like, you will get overwhelmed and devastated a hell of a lot faster in these older games than you would a modern fighting game, right? Because everyone in modern fighting games at least has the tools to be able to at least stand their ground no matter the occasion, right? But in some of these older fighting games, you will get fucking demolished, explode, and do the exact same thing that your opponent's doing, but because of the character that they're playing, it could be that for some strange reason, this character can't use a throw on this character in this specific situation, and your opponent has been exploiting that the entire time, you know? So, it is super important. And I think that the vacuum analogy, I completely agree. Because you have to, again, the thing of bringing up the fact that, like, characters nowadays in modern fighting games have the necessary tools to be able to at least play the game, right? To at least be able to scrap with the opponent on some type of even playing field. There's always at least some point in time where there's an even playing field, where maybe this character has stronger tools than you, but at least you have tools that work, right? Some characters in older fighting games don't at all, you know? So viewing them on that playing field is really difficult, and also starts to make tier lists super foggy nowadays, to where they continuously become unreliable as time goes on. So the only way that they become credible is the player that made them, you know? So yeah, thank you so much for commenting, and I've actually seen another one of your comments before too, so I'm glad that you keep coming back, and I hope I keep entertaining you. This one is from, please forgive me if I mispronounce your username, but Freely? Anyway, Freely. As someone pretty new to the FGC, I get the urge to check tier lists because I don't know what I'm doing, and instinctively search for some standard to follow. But the oversaturation of them has helped me stop that habit. Like you said, people take them less seriously now, and are more willing to change their mind. So when 70% of the tier lists I find are memes and the other 30% don't agree with each other, it forces me to make my own decisions, while still giving me an overview of the game's current state and how the community is seeing things. I'd say they're pretty helpful in that aspect, compared to having a single trusted list that everyone views as the tier list, and the character you want to learn is a set in stone as D tier, that you really shouldn't play. I really love this comment, like a lot. This comment purely 100% like gets my video just as much as the other one does. Nailed on the head once again. You guys are seriously, I'm really glad that you guys really resonate with the videos that I'm making. It was really scary to also think that people weren't really going to, no, not that people wouldn't understand. It's that I sometimes feel like I'm rambling, like I don't make any sense when I talk. So it's incredibly validating to see comments like this to really show me that I am actually making sense. I am talking about something that people can relate to, and people that can and see my work and see the things that I'm talking about. It's incredible. And this comment 100% validates that thing. It also makes me take a deeper look at some things that I may have missed, right? Because, you know, I actually didn't really think about the fact that there isn't really a definitive list because of the whole nature of fighting games as a whole, and also us as a community, you know? I never really put together like the fact that because they are so unserious, because there are so many of them, it helps people make their own decisions because you're not looking at them. I never really saw it from that perspective. That them being stupid nowadays actually kind of helps people not really pay attention to them as much and form their own opinions. So this is super cool. Thank you very much for comment. This one comes from Vicky Stardoom 2950. My problem with tier lists is that there's no reliable source for the tier lists. Pros making tier lists can't be trusted because they're downplaying their mains so they don't get them nerfed. And this isn't just in the FGC. And if you listen to a random tier list, it's a good chance that it's just going to be whack. Again, this comment, really highlights the idea of, the unreliability of multiple sources. Anyone can make a tier list, so that means that, it tends to be really frustrating to go out and search for them. Because again, I think it's a little bit of a conspiracy, but actually it is valid, right? Of downplaying your main, especially if you're a pro player, especially if you're someone that has a lot of stake in the game, right? Because it's true, players that have played characters and overperformed with them to the point where they have shown the world that their character is fucked up, have gotten their mains nerfed. People talking about how fucked up their character is has gotten their mains nerfed. So I can understand, but I also think that when making a tier list like that, okay, it's really hard to talk about because you could, like, the agenda, they could be pushing the agenda, pushing the envelope, making it to where, putting more eyes on your tier list by making a controversial selection of a character that you may perceive as way stronger than they do, or in fact the whole community could perceive this character as much stronger than they do. So people take a look at their tier list, and then other people begin to, get behind the fact that the character's not as good as people are saying. Johnny's not that fucked up in the current patch of Strive. You just suck ass. Right, so I would 1000% get where you're coming from. So it is incredibly unreliable, right? That was another thing that I think that's the overall census that I've gained from a lot of these comments, right? Is that tier lists are important to pay attention to, but because nowadays they're incredibly unreliable and almost 100%. Or not even almost 100%, that's redundant. They are 100% based in opinion, right? There is no objective list. They are 100% based in opinion. So you have no choice but to either trust a credible source that you believe is going to give you reliable information about, the current patch, the characters, how they perform, or you make your own opinions about it. And some people have a lot of self-doubt about their knowledge of the game, which is totally understandable. If you don't have as many hours as some of these pros do, if you have less hours, who are you to decide what character is strong and what character is weak? You don't know everything. But at the same time, pros don't know everything either. They may know way more than you, but they don't know everything. So it causes also another gap in information. Small, minute details could set apart a character from being B tier to A tier, or even A tier to S tier. But some people just don't lab that matchup, or don't know literally everything about the game, even the pros. Thank you so much for commenting. It's been an incredible experience reading these. So we're going to move on. So that was all of the tier list comments. We are now going to move on to... what is it? Taking a break was the next video, I think? Taking a break. Yes, taking a break was the next video. I actually was really nervous about this one. This was the first video that I decided to make scripted, and I hate reading off of scripts. The only well, I've actually gotten way better at it now. In the most recent video, I actually read off a script, and I fucking love this video. I'm super happy with it. But you also need to realize something. Look at the difference between philosophy, look at the difference between the tier list video and the taking a break video. That's 11 minutes and 49 seconds. The taking a break video is 4 minutes and 53 seconds. Unscripted, I am very candid, I'm kind of, just, letting off, flapping my gums and shit, not really pacing myself or anything, just going and going and going and going. Shouting off like thoughts that I've been thinking about all day into the microphone. But when I actually put them down on paper, I can't help but just get them immediately to the point, which causes my scripted videos to be 10 times shorter than my unscripted videos, which is something that I've been struggling with. I know something that validates this experience for me is that I don't know if any of you have watched Theory Fighter. If you haven't, he's a phenomenal content creator and also somebody that has actually inspired this series. I genuinely think that you should go and watch his videos. They're fantastic. But also something that's incredibly validating about his videos is that he has varying lengths of videos, right? Like, I think his most recent video is almost like 9 minutes long, which is actually in the shorter range. But some of his videos are like 5 minutes long or 4 minutes long, you know? But they talk about topics that are so in-depth that it feels like they don't overstay their welcome, that the video is supposed to be that long, right? So and they're fantastic videos, so it really validates me to know that the algorithm doesn't like it. I'll tell you that much. The algorithm fucking hates when I do shorter videos. But again, it is also the fact that, like, I am making what I want to make, and I also am just, you know, making sure that I get to the point and say what I have to say and nothing more. I don't want to overstretch my content. But again, that's enough about the history of the video. We are going to move on to the first comment of the Taking a Break video. Actually, it's the only comment. There actually wasn't a whole lot of comments on that one. And there were the comments that were on there I actually already responded to. So this only one comment is by Coley? Qhoil. I'm going to assume that the Q is silent. Holy. Hoyle? Coil. It's Coil. I'm so stupid. This comment is made by Coil. Sorry, I was having a really tough time pronouncing your name. I'm on a 12-game win streak in Plat. I'm on a 12-game win streak in Plat on Street Fighter 6 right now. I'm a Lily player. And I still get off. I get off when I'm up 12 games on a streak. I don't know if it's fear or not. One loss/win streak ending feels way worse than if I lost 12 matches themselves, even though in a ratio I've won way more. And then another comment down here to the addendum, the extension. It's almost similar to the gear fear phenomenon in games like Rust, Tarkov, or extraction shooters. Heck, even gambling. Stop when you're up/doing good in prep or fear for a loss. I absolutely adore this comment. If you had any type of trouble understanding my video, this comment sums it up perfectly. It's this idea that it's like, you also create the circumstances of which a loss hits harder than it normally does, if that makes sense, right? You know, this person's saying that they're on like a 12-game win streak, they're going absolutely crazy, but the moment they lose that 12-game win streak because a single character lamed them out or did something really fucked up and stupid to them that they weren't ready for, it causes this rage, this urge to crash the fuck out. Way worse than this person losing 12 games in a row, just all by themselves, you know? But in a vacuum, technically, they've won way more than they've lost, you know? But for some reason, that one L, that one thing that makes the train completely crash down, causes them to, you know, get into this rage, this disdain for the game, all because of a single L, right? So it's all about attitude, you know. And I like the idea that I thought about it, right? Because this comment also made me think. I was like, a lot of my video is just like, just hop off the game, just go and chill, take a fucking shower, bro. Go take a fucking chill pill, drink some water, bro. Go chill, right? The L isn't that big a deal, but I never thought that it also hopping off of the game could also be a fear response. That could also be a response to the actual fear of losing. You know, the idea that you're actually you know, you're up when you're up, and you don't want to be going down anytime soon, and you don't want to push your luck, right? So you think that you're like, it's only a matter of time before my luck runs out. I better get the fuck out of here, right? Like it's actually really interesting, and I didn't really consider that angle. So this is really, really cool, and I really, really appreciate the comment. In my opinion, my least favorite video. The only reason why is because there was actually a good portion of the video taken out, and it was also by accident. But you know, I have a kid, I have a job. It's really, really difficult for me to like stop everything I'm doing. I could have put off the video for another month, but that was not a good idea. I wanted to keep the traction going, so I kind of rolled with it, right? But not only was the missing content from the video lost, I feel this actual video was inspired by a content of someone being like, it was actually a request from a commenter asking if I could make a video about, you know, not only what it's like to start a fighting game from zero, but how to find the urge to keep going, right? The urge to like kind of get the bug, so to speak. Find something in the fighting game that really is just like, regardless of the losses, regardless of the lack of knowledge, regardless of this impossible task in front of me, I want to keep coming back because I want to get better, right? I genuinely think that this topic is loaded. It's really, really hard, and I don't think I had any choice but to come up with a simple answer of finding your own path, right? Finding what inspires you to be able to do it. Because, you know, I've found people that it isn't all about fighting other people, you know? Some people just play it for the story. I used to be that way. When I was younger, I literally only bought games for fighting games for the story mode. I'm being so serious. I would go out, find the fighting game, buy it, and play every single character's arcade mode, and that was my satisfying, that was my, like, getting all of the endings, getting all of the extra content, playing survival mode, messing around in training mode, finding my favorite character, doing all the extra, you know, single player content. That was my goal. That was my path. That was my joy that I got out of fighting games. And as I got older, and as I realized that, you know, playing online isn't so scary, getting past that first online game anxiety, I realized even though I was getting my ass beat, I was actually having a lot of fun, right? But the problem is that not everyone's that experience. Not everyone is like, that anxiety could be like I'm gonna get my ass beat, right? And then that loss could actually just be, you know, a confirmation that you're like, see what happened? I got my ass beat. You know, I shouldn't have even fucking bothered. And then people quit. And that's devastating. And I really wanted to get that, you know, idea across, but unfortunately, I just could not do it. Or at least I feel like I couldn't do it. Yeah, the starting from zero video, it has a comment from the person who actually originally requested the video. You can actually go and read it yourself, because I've already responded to that guy, and we've had a cool conversation. But yeah, there wasn't, other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of comments on that video, because it hadn't been super popular either, until my most recent videos, the time video and the competing video. So yeah. No comments to read on that one, but this next one, I'm gonna be real. These last two, time and the is it worth competing videos, I'm gonna be real. These are tied for like two of my favorite videos that I've made so far. Time was exactly how I wanted it to be, and it is really, really, really cool. I like the, it was my first time actually kind of like setting up a skit, and it seemed like people really, really liked it. So, let's read some comments about it. Okay, from Horace Bailey, 1 day ago, I felt personally attacked by the first 2 minutes, and the Jamie bit. I don't mean Jamie. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the exact intended effect that I wanted. I really, really wanted to show how relatable of an experience this is. So I think almost every single person goes through some type of situation like this, where you genuinely feel like you have done literally everything in your power to prepare for what's about to come next, only for you to get blindsided out of nowhere by some absolute Looney Tunes ass shit you couldn't have even possibly prepared for, you know? And it's demeaning. It's awful because it makes it feel like that person was not taking that situation as seriously as you. So it's the stupid Baki picture where it's like someone who works hard can never beat someone that enjoys themselves, right? It's this idea where it's like, you are taking this serious, you prepared for this moment meant a lot to you because you prepared for it, and you had a lot of preconceived notions about this online game that you were about to play, and someone who just clocked out from their shift and just wants to dick on some nerds is just fucking around and beat the shit out of you unanimously without any lab time or anything like that, right? But that feeling is that, you know, what is it called? I can't believe I'm forgetting it was the whole point of the video. Entitlement. That feeling is that entitlement. That time for some reason automatically equals wins. And when you say it out loud, it doesn't make any sense. Of course that's stupid. But in the moment, you're like, I put in way more lab time than this asshole. I practice way more than this dude. And he keeps beating my ass. What the fuck am I doing wrong? The game must suck ass, right? It's like the only logical conclusion your emotional brain could think of at that moment. But, you know, outside of the game, once you really start asking yourself those questions, you're like, you know, it's because I don't really know the matchup. It's because I need more lab time. I'm gonna be honest. I may have been labbing, but I wasn't labbing the right shit, right? I could lab for 6 hours in a combo, but if I don't know what the fuck, Jamie gets an overhead after drink 3, what the fuck, not an overhead, a command grab after drink 3, I didn't know that shit, you know, so it's really important. Alright, and the final comment. This one's a long one, so prepare yourself. The problem with learning fighting games is that I understand the fundamentals, like neutral and stuff. Might not be the best at it, but I've had horrible internet since the beginning, and it infuriates me to no end. So I avoid playing online, so I don't destroy my controllers. Outside of that, I don't have any friends who play any of the games that I play anymore. So all I have is CPUs, which are notoriously bad at which are notoriously bad to practice against. Especially coming out of Smash Bros. Into an actually difficult game like Street Fighter, my situation is just demotivating. I really want to put in the time and actually get good, but I'll actually have days where my internet doesn't even let me play online at all. Very good video. I definitely already knew what you were saying, but it's still really important for other new players to learn. You know, this is actually, it's rare, but unfortunately still a very, you know, real thing that happens to a lot of people, where either it be from being in like a foreign country, or straight up just having like a shitty internet provider, even in America, right? Shitty internet providers, or not even being able to support, excuse me, not even being able to supply yourself with a Ethernet cable, you know, depending on like your living situation or where you are in the house, or if someone's willing to drill holes in the wall or the roof or the ceiling, or the roof or the floor or something like that to get an Ethernet all the way to your setup. It can be very frustrating. And to be honest with you, my condolences. A big thing that I think is important, you gotta find a local scene. And if you really don't have any friends that like to play that stuff with you, and you really can't find a local scene, it's gonna be tough, but make your own, you know? I actually helped, you know, start my local scene out here in the Capital Region. The Capital Region was pretty much barren of fighting game content and fighting game events that were happening. We used to have a really, really big one back when Pastime Legends was still like super popular, but that eventually fell off, and Smash was the dominating force of like the FGC, so to speak, right? So I got a lot of my friends together, and we started our own scene, and eventually we actually came up with a name. And funnily enough, the people that were running the Smash events wanted to start running fighting game events, and the first person that everyone in my community pointed to have them, you know, to be their fighting game TO was me. So I started that relationship. But then, you know, eventually we kind of split off. We had different ideas about what we wanted to do with the tournament. And turns out the entire time that I was on the up and coming with my fighting game event and my fighting game TO journey, another person was also already having fighting game tournaments that I had no idea was happening. So eventually me and him joined forces, and now we have the biggest local fighting game scene in our area. And it's awesome. It's super cool. And you know, we have rivalries with other like closer regions to us and stuff, like the Mid-Hudson Mayhem guys. And it's one big happy family and one big community. And all that happened was that I just wanted to play more fighting games with people. That was my only driving factor. So if you really want to go out there and you really want to play fighting games with other people, and your barrier is that your internet sucks ass, then you have no choice but to, you know, start some real fighting game activism, so to speak, and really get out there. I know it's way easier said than done, but it is going to be more than worth your dedication and your time if you really manage to pull it off. It's going to be slow. It's going to feel like it's not going to be fucking worth it at all. But if you even have 3 people show up, 2 people, all it takes is 2 people to play a fucking fighting game, you know? So if you can't have a tournament, just have them come and play fucking locals, or like play casuals with you, you know what I mean? Just play casuals, you know? So, because those casuals will eventually come back for more casuals. And then those casuals will bring their friends, and those casuals will turn into a tournament, you know, just to fuck around. And then eventually they'll get the drive to play, and then you have a community on your hands, man. So, I got faith in you. If this is the direction you want to take, if you want to start something big, I highly fucking recommend it. But, you know, I hope the internet situation also improves. Oh, excuse me. I hope the internet situation also improves, because I could understand the need to want to, you know, just when you come home from work or when you're coming home from doing something, and you just want to sit down and play fighting games with people, like with strangers, and you don't want to like go out of your way to get your boys to come over, you know, I completely understand like the frustration with that. Also, missing out on online tournaments sucks. Online tournaments recently have been really, really cool and like a really, really fun experience to take part in, and have grown so much from, you know, the COVID 2020, like everything's an online tournament now. Like that shit was rough back in the day, but now it's actually really cool. People have really perfected them. So we have 3 comments for competing, and one of them is actually a bit of a controversial one. A one that I actually have beef with. And we'll get to that one last. But first, we'll get through the first 2 comments that I wanted to bring attention to. This first one from the Is It Worth Competing video comes from Sea Salt. I compete. Well, I want to compete now so I can become known. I want friends, and fighting games are so cool. I couldn't have said it simpler myself, you know? Just literally, the most simple motivations can be some of the best and clearest ones, right? He just wants to compete in order to be able to either get into he wants to compete to get friends, but he also wants to just be known, you know? He just wants to be out there. He wants to show the world that he exists through fighting games, and I think that's really cool. And also, fighting games are cool, I agree with you. This one comes from Rhythm LP. I play for the self-improvement, and not gonna lie, for the glory as well. The feeling of taking weeks and months and years practicing, trying your best to get better, and you finally beat someone that has had your number for years is incredible. I love feeling my hard work pay off, and to get that acknowledgement from my peers. Fighting games has become my outlet, Fighting games have become my outlet, and I'm grateful for its existence. I'm being so real with you, Rhythm LP, like 1000% with you. I actually could not have said that better myself. What you have just said are also my exact motivations for playing. Man, I have this rival. I would call him my rival. He may not. I do it for. I do definitely do it for the glory. I'm not gonna lie. I'm real egocentric. You know, I'm real, like, you know, I have to prove my worth through my skill, and if I can't, I suck ass. You know, and I need to get better, and I can't take a loss just sitting down. I have to go back, you know. But him, you know who you are. But him, there's something about The fact that I see it, I sense it. He also has a competitive drive. But there's something about how losses and minor setbacks, or just setbacks in general, just roll off his back that infuriates me. Because he can also appreciate a job well done, right? So the problem is that I'm this, this fucking angry warrior, this hyper competitive glory hog that wants to dominate my opponent through, my skill and my practice and my repetition, while he's like, I really like competing and it's a lot of fun, but I do it because I love the game. And like, I love the game too, right? But like, at the end of the day, when I win, it's this satisfaction and validation, right? But when he wins, it's the exact same, like it's not the status quo does not change for him. His opinion does not change. It's, I still love this game the exact same way I came in, regardless if it was win or lose. And for some reason, that drives me up the fucking wall. Because I can't stay mad at him when I lose. Because he'll look at me, he will beat my ass, look me dead in my eyes and say, man, I love this game. And what am I supposed to do? Say fuck you to his face? So being able to like have someone like that, and then like eventually you finally get your get back, you finally get that that chance to really prove your skill and your repetition and your hard work against an opponent that you consider your rival or something like that. It's again, I could not say it better than myself, an indescribable feeling. Without a doubt, an indescribable feeling. So thank you so much for commenting this. This is super awesome. Okay. We are now officially at the comment that I have the biggest beef with, all right? I'm not going to come at this with any, like, vitriol, right? I'm not going to come at this with, like, rage or anger or anything, but just off jump, I want to preface, I heavily disagree with this comment. This is the only, I wouldn't say quote-unquote negative comment. This is very clearly just his opinion. But I think it stems from a weird level of nihilism to the scene itself that can be, unfortunately, a lot of people share and could also be a little harmful, right? So I want to bring attention to this, right? Because I was going to reply to this guy, but I really wanted to save it for this video. So we have LOL's 909 on the Is It Worth Competing? In response to the video, my cool montage about the hype moments and people getting together and cheering and laughing and being loud and enjoying themselves and having fun. That was the whole point of me showing why is it worth competing. If you don't know why, if that montage was not clear enough for you and you want a more definitive answer, it's the people. The people are the reason why it's worth competing. Whether it's that you get to meet new people, whether it's that you get to play new people, or it's just that you get to see people enjoy themselves. If I had an analogy for someone in my Twitter comments, right? Was like, if competing is the heart of the FGC, people are the blood that pumps through it, that helps it work, that makes it fire, that makes it worth participating in. Because without competing, we wouldn't have a reason to go and meet each other and talk and meet and like make friends, rivalries, relationships. All of that is what makes competing worth it in the first place. So, of course, I originally thought this comment was a joke, but I get a notification saying, so no then, got it. So I was like, oh, that's funny. So I responded, see, you get it, in sarcasm. But apparently, he was actually dead serious. So he responds, LOL. I've kind of known that for years now. Considering I'm 37 years old, and I've been watching FGC since 2007, seeing Daigo win like 10K as a grand prize was a joke. He probably spent half of that coming to America to compete. Not even to mention, if you know what Justin Wong's entire net worth is after winning 220 plus tournaments, that should be pretty telling. Now, I want to start this off by saying that I actually completely understand where he's coming from. The financial gain from being an FGC competitor is abysmal. Being at the level of Daigo or being at the level of Justin Wong and not getting an accurate not getting accurate compensation for the fruits of your labor can be incredibly demoralizing. These people are some of the greatest fighting game players, hell, competitors in almost every video game, period. And they're making what? Surely they're millionaires by now, but like, at the same time, how much effort did it take to get there, you know? How much more effort is it going to take to maintain that number, that cash value, you know? So, no, it's not worth it, you know? Punk, right? Punk making so much money, but not as much as he could be making because he's a fighting game player. You know what I mean? Here is my massive disagreement. My point to this whole thing. You are correct in some degree. The thing you are wrong about is the assumption that they even started competing for money in the first place. None of these players, you could hear it from the mouths of almost every single fighting game player, every single fighting game pro that gets into the game, that gets into competing, that becomes students of the game and the grind. The very first thing they'll tell you is that the reason they started competing is because they liked fighting games. They never, ever started because of the money. And that's because it's just like the situation it is now. There ain't really money in it. So why the fuck would you start for the money in the first place? This point is only relevant if you are also looking for fame beyond, like if you are comparing FGC money to regular esports money, the gap is hilarious. The problem is that I'm a broke dad working 2 jobs to support my family. If I was making anything near what Justin Wong was making, or anything near what Daigo was making, or anything near what Punk was making, I'd be fucking screaming and hooting and hollering at the rooftops that this was worth it. That everything that I've earned is because I've been playing fucking fighting games, man. So there's also that aspect of it. You know? Sure, they're not gaining, what they could be gaining, but it's still a fuck ton of money, man. Especially for broke people. Especially for FGC players that don't make a dime in the first place off of this shit. But the biggest thing is that none of these guys started because of the money. None of them play because of the money. Maybe now, but also content creation makes up for a good portion of that. So maybe you can't even say that they still do compete for the money, because their content creation may be the actual thing that brings them above that threshold. So I severely disagree with you. And I also actually request that you take another look at how the FGC operates and how people view competing. And I think that change in perspective will actually show you a better way to enjoy the FGC as a whole and view the way that competing it actually turns out, you know? But that is our last comment of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for 200 subscribers and counting. This has been an amazing journey, and I intend to continue this journey for much longer. I love making content, but you'll have to forgive me for sometimes being, a little slow for the content. As I said, dad, 2 jobs, so it's been real rough for me. I'd love to do this content stuff full time, but it's not going to be happening anytime soon. But I appreciate y'all and love y'all. Goodbye.